I hope you're in a spooky, scary mood because today we're going to be discussing the real houses of scary movies. If you're a house lover like me, you might have been disappointed to learn that some of the coolest houses in scary movies are just film sets. For example, the one in When a Stranger Calls from 2006. It's a modern home with an indoor koi pond, and I just want to see every inch of that property. But it was just built for the film set. A beautiful lakefront property that will forever just exist in our imagination and on our screens. But you're in luck because there actually are a handful of homes that are real. And I think it's super cool to be able to explore inside them. I've seen one of them in person. We're gonna go through that. There's another one currently listed for sale on the market from a scary movie that you might have seen. If you have a casual $15 million lying around, you could buy it. And there's a third one that you can also book a stay inside. It's currently a private accommodation, like a boutique hotel. We're gonna go through those and more. And then at the very end, I'm gonna link a playlist with some supplementary information about all these houses if you like going down the rabbit hole, because I do. Also, I almost forgot to mention this, but hello, I am Miranda, and this channel is just gonna be all about houses, architecture, real estate design. If you're a home slice like me, you're gonna be in for a treat. Let's go. So we're starting the list strong with a freaking stunning home located right here in my hometown. The movie Chloe, 2009, which is a steamy thriller based in Toronto. They really didn't hide the fact that this movie was based in Toronto. I think it was like part of the plot. I don't know how great the reviews are for this movie, but it's one of my favorites because it was filmed in a real Toronto house that not only is real, but it's also pretty spectacular. And I got to tour inside that house. Known as the Ravine House, the Toronto home in this movie is an award-winning modernist house designed by Drew Mandel Architects in the Cedarvale Humewood neighborhood of Toronto, and it backs directly onto a ravine. The main floor has multiple levels to mimic the topography of the landscape, which slopes toward the ravine. But that means that this home has a sunken living room, my absolute favorite, and it's just clad with wood, juxtaposed by steel beams and cinder block materials that are cozy, homey, and honestly kind of sexy. So I'm not surprised why this home was featured in the film. It's a 5,000 square foot home that can be seen throughout the movie, especially in the opening party scene. But you won't see the real front of this home in the movie because the film actually uses the exterior of a different home down the street as the exterior establishing shots for the Stewart family home. The property last sold in 2023 for $5.2 million. In terms of a scary movie rating, I would rate it a 1 out of 5 scary factor because it's more of a sexy thriller, but it is a really fun one to watch. So if you haven't seen it, definitely add it to your list. Number 2, Don't Worry Darling is a disturbing psychological thriller that I thoroughly enjoyed, and this movie will absolutely delight mid-century modern enthusiasts just for the architecture alone. Set in the fictional town of Victory, much of the movie was filmed in Palm Springs, known as the place for mid-century modern architecture. This movie gets a 3 out of 5 scariness rating from me, making this list because it features a handful of real-life houses that are architecturally worth noting, and they're really great examples of the delightful architecture in Palm Springs. Exterior establishing shots of the movie's utopian Victory neighborhood were filmed off of South Palm Canyon Drive in the Canyon View Estates neighborhood of Palm Springs. While the interior shots of the main characters' homes were filmed in a studio set, the establishing shots of the picture-perfect cul-de-sac are in fact real Palm Springs houses designed by well-known architects William Kreisel and Dan Palmer in the 1960s and developed by Roy Fay. Distinguishing features of these homes include vaulted ceilings, clear story windows, and umbrella roof lines that are characteristic of Palm Springs. Also featured in this film is the Volcano House of Barstow, California in Newberry Springs, and it's a historical home built circa 1960 that's actually on top of a volcanic cinder cone, and it is a real residential property that was used for the film's Victory Project-based headquarters in those scenes. Chris Pine's character Frank also resides in the Kaufmann House built in 1946 by famous architect Richard Neutra. The home is rarely used for filming. Reports actually indicate that there were multiple letters sent to the current owners to try to convince them to let them use this home for filming. Obviously, the crew was successful in their pursuits, so you can see the Kaufmann home in this movie. This modernist home is also famously captured by Slim Aaron's widely popular photograph titled Poolside Gossip. If you're keen about mid-century modern architecture and houses, I highly recommend visiting Palm Springs for Modernism Week at least once. Jeff and I went last year where we toured the House of Tomorrow, stayed in a Lloyd Wright designed bungalow in the desert, and we had a private tour where I posted a video of this on my channel of a home that A. Quincy Jones designed as an iconic 70s party pad. So definitely check out Modernism Week. I am already planning my next trip down there to see houses like this again. They're just so stunning. Real house number 3 is the house featured in Invisible Man 2020. Now this is a remake of an older movie which had a really cool movie poster, so I just wanted to show that to you. But this is another stunning ultra modern home in freaky filmography, and this one takes us across the globe. For a film that I'm rating 4 out of 5 scary factor because it has some pretty disturbing domestic themes. While the plot for the 2020 remake of Invisible Man is set in San Francisco, California, the angular, ultra-modern home where we see characters Cecilia and Adrian reside is actually the amalgamation of 2 real, custom-built houses located nearby each other in New South Wales, Australia. Establishing shots for the high-security, brooding modern home were filmed at Dovecote's Headland House, a residential property that is now a luxury boutique accommodation set on 150 acres of oceanfront farmland just 2 hours south of Sydney. The property was designed by architect Atelier Andy Carson. The minimalist home features cantilevered forms that wrap around a central courtyard. The home also has a dedicated storm viewing room among multiple floor-to-ceiling windows because apparently storms in this coastal area of Australia can get pretty gnarly. You can actually book an overnight stay in this 4-bedroom home starting around 2,700 Australian per night. Nearby Pebble Cove Farm was used for a number of the interior scenes though. Pebble Cove Farm is a V-shaped, angular hillside home perched on 94 acres of oceanfront land. The property was designed by Australian architect Philip Thallis and also features a sheltered courtyard with a pool similar to the Headland House, which allows the filmmakers to easily blend the look of the 2 properties to form the one house that you perceive in the film. But Invisible Man is not Pebble Cove Farm's only stint with Hollywood, as the sprawling 4-bedroom home has also been used as a filming location for the Russell Crowe-led thriller Poker Face, which was a movie I also enjoyed. I'm gonna give that one a 2 out of 5 scary rating. House number 4 is another real-life Toronto house featured in a scary movie, and that is the house from Stephen King's creepy clown blockbuster, It, Chapter 1. Now, this was the movie where I was able to find the most information about regarding filming locations, and that's likely because there's a very big cult following around this movie. This movie gets a 5 out of 5 scariness rating for me because I watched most of it with my eyes closed. But you might be surprised to learn that much of the Chapter 1 filming was based in Ontario, Canada. The haunted house interiors were filmed at a 1902 East Toronto estate known as the Cranfield House. Situated on Pape Avenue in Riverdale, Toronto, the house is protected by the Ontario Heritage Act. A permanent plaque outside the home reads, "This house was built for William and Caroline Harris and was named for Caroline's ancestral village. Designed by Toronto architect Henry Simpson, it has elements of 2 architectural styles. The Flemish gables and tall chimneys represent the Queen Anne Revival style, where the column porches and patterned windows are associated with Edwardian classicism. The home has been featured in multiple productions, including season 1 of the vampire series What We Do in the Shadows." As of 2023, the manor has been restored as a wheelchair-accessible and pet-friendly women's shelter, opening its doors post-renovation in 2022 with 22 bedrooms, each with their own bathroom and a pet wash area. They don't each have a pet wash area, but it's pretty cool that a women's shelter has a pet wash area. I just learned about this charity, but it sounds like a pretty good cause, so I'm going to include a link to donate to the charity below if you are interested. But you might be wondering why the exterior of the haunted home in the movie It doesn't match the exterior of the home I just showed you. And that's because exterior shots were actually filmed in central Oshawa, about an hour from Toronto, on an abandoned lot at 196 Drew Street, where the facade of an old mansion was built for the movie in 2016. While there's no existing remnants of the famous haunted house, Google Street View back to September 2018 shows browned and flattened grass on the vacant lot shortly after filming wrapped in this location for It Chapter 2. The grass has now grown over. Last but not least is the movie Glass House from the early 2000s. This is one of my favorite movies, and the glass house in this movie is a real 7,000 square foot home that's currently listed for sale for just under $15 million in Malibu, California. The home was built in 1998, designed by Bellsberg architects and reportedly inspired by the owner's fascination with racing automobiles, featuring a 6-car garage and a guest house on 32 acres of land. The home is architecturally significant with a butterfly roof, and according to the architect, has honeycombed double concrete slabs that provide enough thermal massing to allow for 67% of the interior space to be glazed. This is one of my favorite thriller movies since I was a kid and fascinated with homes early on. I probably rated it a 2 out of 5 scary factor, but the house itself makes this movie worth watching. So that just about wraps this list of 5 notable real houses you've seen in scary movies. Let me know if I missed anything or if you would be into a part 2. Doesn't have to be about scary movies. It could just be regular movies with real houses. I always find them so fascinating, and like I said, if you are curious to see some supplementary information, I'm gonna link a playlist for you so you can really go down that rabbit hole.